Welcome to the Christina DiStefano Podcast, where we explore the intersection of mindset to manifestation and the art of becoming in your space, your style, and your soul. I'm your host, Christina DiStefano, luxury real estate advisor, designer, and guide for the woman you're becoming. Here we go beyond surface level design and traditional success. We talk about transforming your home as a portal, embodying your next level identity, and creating a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're ready to step into your fullest expression with courage, intention, and beauty, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Christina DiStefano Podcast. In our second episode of this new season, I shared a very personal story about when someone wanted the old me back and how that experience challenged me to stay true to my evolution. But today I want to take you even deeper. We're going to explore a concept I call the mirror effect. This isn't just about when someone wants you to stay the same. It's about the moments when someone's reaction to you, their criticism, their discomfort, their judgment, actually has very little to do with you and everything to do with them. The mirror effect is a powerful spiritual and psychological principle. It says that what we see and react to in others is often a reflection of something unacknowledged within ourselves, a wound, a fear, an unmet desire. When someone reacts strongly to you, they may not actually be responding to your truth. They're reacting to the part of themselves that feels threatened or exposed by your expression. Let's say you decide to finally step into your power. So you speak up more boldly, you share your art, you share your business, or perhaps you set a boundary. Suddenly, someone close to you starts to feel very uncomfortable. They might criticize you, withdraw, or even question your motives. And this isn't because you're doing something wrong. It's because your expansion is actually reflecting back to them where they feel stuck, small, or unseen in their own lives. Your light can trigger their shadows. And this can be so confronting for them and for you. Now, here's where it gets even deeper. We do this too. We judge others when they do things we secretly wish we had the courage to do. We feel triggered when someone embodies a freedom we haven't given ourselves permission to access yet. And this is part of our shadow. And working with it requires radical honesty and self-compassion. Instead of shaming ourselves, we can ask, what is this reaction showing me about my own met needs? Where am I longing to be more expressed, but I'm holding myself back? When we bring awareness to these mirror moments, we start to transform them into opportunities for healing and growth. So how do we stay centered when we face criticism or triggering reactions from others within ourselves? Here are a few tools for you to kind of keep in your toolkit. So first off, pause and breathe. Before explaining, defending, or shrinking, take a breath and ask, is this really about me, or is this a mirror of their own experience? This is big for me because I can be a little reactive, and I have gotten used to defending my growth. And I feel that this growing journey that I've been on, it's been a very long time, not just recently, but it's been many, many years. And along the way, there have been moments when people that were friends of mine at that time would say things to me that sounded like kind of an underhanded compliment. And I would feel this feeling that I had to sort of defend myself. I also had feelings sometimes that I had to kind of shrink, like I had to try to control the excitement or the light that I was feeling coming within me because I didn't want to make someone else feel bad. So pause and breathe before you explain your growth. You actually do not owe anyone an explanation of your growth or your transformation or really anything. You do not need to defend or explain yourself. That's actually not a requirement. that is something you must do. It's a choice. But before you do anything like that, take a moment to pause and breathe. Then I want you to do a body check-in. Kind of feel into your body and notice where the tension shows up. It's very often in our chest. If you're like me, it shows up in my jaw. I notice that I kind of clench my jaw when I'm talking to people that kind of bring like a negative feeling in my body. And I know when it's happening, I know that it's the mirror effect. And what's happening is it's showing me that I need to take care of myself. So like often, like I said, it's in your chest. It could be in your jaw. It could be in your belly. Release that before responding. Third, I want you to think about creating a mantra or choosing a mantra to self-anchor. So choose a mantra to bring you back to your center, like something just simple, like I'm safe to be me, or my truth is valid even if others don't understand. I like that one. My truth is valid even if others don't understand. This is a really good one. I release the need to manage their feelings. That one I really like. I'm going to repeat that one again too. So I release the need to manage their feelings. That is not your responsibility. Number 4, reflect instead of react. So if you feel triggered by someone, ask, what does this reveal about me? What longing or wound is asking me to be seen? I've definitely been in this position where I felt jealousy. I try really hard not to get jealous of people that are doing things that I want to do. And I try to kind of sit in the energy of celebrating or finding a way to just feel inspired by what they're doing. But I think we kind of sometimes fall into this feeling that we're not far along on our timeline, not far enough along on our timeline. And so we start to compare our growth to other people's growth or our accomplishments to other people's accomplishments. And I love this quote, and I forget who says it, but comparison is the thief of joy. So it's really hard to be joyful in what you're doing when you start comparing yourself to others. So before you react, or when you feel triggered by what someone else is doing, and this could be very common on social media, you want to ask yourself, what does this reveal about me? What longing or wound is asking me to be seen? And for me, this particular situation that I'm just remembering, when I felt kind of like this feeling of jealousy, was I have this big picture vision of something that I really want to do and something I really want to pitch. And I see someone that I actually know from like 10 or 12 years ago from my industry, and I see that she has it. And while I'm happy to see that she has it, I can't deny, like especially on a day that I'm a little tired or maybe feeling a little weak. And when I'm tired, like if I don't sleep well, or I feel a little tired, those are the days that it's harder for me, not all the time, but sometimes it's a little harder for me because there's a part of me that doesn't do well with lower energy days because there's so many things I want to do, and I love it when I have the energy to do those things. I love to create, and I create a lot of content, and so when I'm in the energy of creating and I'm writing and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I love that energy because I feel like I'm living in my fullest expression. But some days I don't have that energy, and I am still learning, and I need to do a podcast about this, but learning to be okay with the rest days, to be okay and understand that actually the rest days are where I kind of get like these ideas or epiphanies or downloads, where I come up with new ideas, or I might get like, just like an aha moment, or get a brand new idea through rest. So, but what I'm kind of digressing, but my point being is like on those days, and in this particular situation that I'm referring to, I was a little tired that day, and I actually might have been a little hormonal, but I started feeling like a little overwhelmed by wanting something, but feeling like it's just a little too far out of reach, and seeing someone else that I know have it. And I felt jealousy. I felt a little bit of heartbreak. I felt like a bunch of things. And so there was so much being mirrored back at me, and so much of my shadow that was being projected back at me, like visibly, like visible to me. And it was revealing that, number one, I needed to find a way to be comfortable with my own timeline and to feel that there's no way that my timeline will be the same as anybody else's. And there's gifts and things that I will receive along my own timeline. And so for me to jump right into her timeline, I would be missing out on all these other beautiful things that will unfold. So I needed to, first of all, see that. I also, the wound or the longing that was asking to be seen was, I feel like I haven't been fully aligned and fully myself for so many years. I feel like there's a large part of myself that I kept buried, a large part of myself that wanted to be seen, that was that little girl who really enjoyed attention and loved to kind of entertain and be funny. And somewhere along the line, it was like I learned that I can't be that, and I need to be quiet, and I need to sit still, and I need to be good. And it was like all that part of me that just loved to express and radiate as a child was shut down. And so that mentality, that me being in a box, was then carried over through the decades. And now I'm kind of coming back where I'm unfolding parts of myself that I kept hidden for so long. And one of those parts is that desire to express, that desire to share light, that desire to be my fullest expression. And so I had to really come to terms with, yes, this is what's happening. This is why I'm feeling this way. This is what I want. Now, while my big picture vision is not happening, what are the other ways that I can then express myself, that I can carry the same energy of my big picture vision and live it out in my life in this time right now, in this present tense, so I can still be in that energy. And what I've actually learned is that this is really like true manifestation. Like when people talk about living in the energy or living from the end result, this is what that is. It's like I feel happy in the present tense because I'm living that full expression, which is what my heart was really wanting. And that was the wound that needed to be seen when the mirror was held up to me and I saw someone else with something I wanted. That was my big picture vision. I put the mirror up and I paid attention to what I was seeing. And I looked at the wound that was asking to be seen. And I, instead of shoving it back down, I gave that wound some air and some breathing room and some light and some love. And I created a space in this present tense where I could be fully expressed. And the result of that is a happiness and a groundedness and a feeling of being fully aligned and just being that fully expressed self, which is what I saw in my future, but I'm giving it to myself now. So additionally, I know that future, that big picture vision is inevitable because I'm already living, not because I'm already living in this energy now, but I feel it's inevitable because just it's a natural part of the trajectory that I'm on. Does that make sense? So it's a really great opportunity to align you with the energy that you need to fulfill the thing that initially caused you to feel jealous or feel triggered by someone else's success or whatever it is you see them doing that triggers you. So moving on. I had to share that. It was a long story, but I think it's an important story because this is how you align with that energy and this is how you live in that energy now. People are always talking about, oh, if you want to be a millionaire, live in that energy now. But it's like, well, if I don't have any money, how do I live in the energy of being a millionaire? It's not about the energy of being a millionaire. It's about the energy of being free to choose and the freedom that comes along with like being a multimillionaire or whatever. You know, it's like connecting to the feeling. You look at the shadow and you ask yourself, what wound or longing is asking to be seen? Okay, so number 5, compassion as a bridge. So remember, just as you're learning to hold compassion for yourself, you can extend it to others without taking on their work. That's the key. So it's basically as you learn compassion for yourself, it's only inevitable that you're like exercising a muscle that you can extend it to others. When we are compassionate with ourselves, it's easier to be compassionate to others because we start to understand ourselves a little bit more. We start to understand why we are triggered by things. And that helps us understand other people. But we don't need to take on their work. We don't need to explain to them what's going on or, get out of the over-explaining mode, in this situation, or with like trying to help others tackle their own work. They need to come to those questions on their own. They need to realize the mirror on their own, and they will. Wish them well, help them, wish that they see their own mirror and see what's going on. But right here, right now, we're extending compassion to ourselves and giving it to others, but without taking on their work. So speaking of your work, that's what we're here for. We're here to work on you. Here are some journaling or contemplation questions for you. So, when was the last time someone's reaction hurt you deeply? And what did it reflect back to you? So you ask yourself, when was the last time someone's reaction hurt me deeply? And when did it reflect back to me? Where in my life am I still carrying others' projections as truth? Where in my life am I still carrying others' projections as my truth? Where am I performing to be accepted rather than embodying my authentic self? Where am I performing to be accepted rather than embodying my authentic self? Where have I mirrored my own fears or insecurities onto others? Where have I mirrored my own fears or insecurities onto others? And lastly, what would change if I released the need to be understood by everyone? What would change if I released the need to be understood by everyone? I actually told my friend this the other day. We were walking on the Upper West Side, and I was just talking about how I feel like I've always been misunderstood, but I've kind of come to a place in my life where I feel comfortable being understood, and I don't feel like I need to explain things to everyone, because not everyone will have the ears to even hear your explanation, first of all. So don't waste your energy on that. Turn that energy back into yourself and work on these questions and reflect on these questions. The mirror effect, well, it is not something to fear. It's a sacred invitation. And if you look at it like that sacred invitation, that is your invitation to grow. It's an invitation to see yourself more clearly, to understand where you still hide and where you are ready to stand fully expressed. And I love that term, fully expressed. It's a doorway to deeper compassion for yourself and for others. You're not here to manage everyone's comfort. You are here to embody the woman you're becoming. And sometimes that means letting people be disappointed, confused, or even triggered, because their reaction is a part of their own healing journey. You get to choose your truth over and over again, and that is where your freedom lives. Before I go, I want to share something exciting. I am working on my new book, The Powerhouse Handbook, Mic Drops, Mindset Shifts, and Manifestos for the Woman You're Becoming. This isn't just a book. It's a companion, a mirror, and a spark for your new journey. It's designed to remind you that you are not waiting to become her. You are already her. This handbook is meant to travel with you, inspire you, keep you anchored in your deepest truth, even on the days when you feel far from it. So release date is August 4th. I've actually just submitted my final draft. Oh my goodness. Many drafts, but final draft just in time for the August 4th release date. So I am self-publishing this on Kindle. This is the first time I'm doing this. There was a learning curve, but it was well worth it because this book will be a part of a series of 8. It's a small book. It's only 5 by 8. And it's the kind of thing you just kind of flip through when you need it, or you can just go through the whole thing. But it's really just meant to be moments of reflection, moments when you need that little mic drop through your day to bring you back into your power, to ground you into your power. So I will let you know on August 4th when it's released. So stay tuned for that. And I cannot wait for you to hold it in your hands. So babe, if today's episode resonated, please share it with the woman you love or leave a review. It truly helps the community grow. It helps this podcast get to other women that need to hear it. And I mean, especially if you share it with one of them, that really helps. Your reviews help. Just be that girl, be that friend. And lastly, remember, you are not starting over. You are starting fully expressed, and I cannot wait to see her. All right, babe, have a wonderful week. Sending you so much love from New York. Mwah.